The Colony of Silence. The sunrise on New Shepard came in shades of amber and violet, twin suns painting the sky in colors that still took Elena Vasquez's breath away even after a decade. She stood on the observation deck of the Colonial Administration Building, watching the city below come to life. 45,000 souls called this place home now, farmers, engineers, teachers, children who'd never seen Earth. A miracle of human determination planted 15 light-years from home. Beautiful morning for an anniversary, Dr. James Chen said, joining her with 2 cups of coffee. Real coffee, imported at astronomical cost, saved for special occasions. 10 years, Elena said, accepting the cup. Remember when this was just prefab shelters and hope? And that first winter when the heating failed? James smiled. Thought we'd all freeze. Then everyone just moved into the main hall together. Turned it into a party. That was humanity in miniature, Elena thought. Face extinction with a party and stubborn refusal to quit. The console behind them chimed, a deep space sensor alert. Elena's smile faded. She was captain of Colonial Defense, and that tone meant something big had just entered their system. Talk to me, she said, moving to the display. The technician's face was pale. Ma'am, we have multiple contacts dropping out of FTL. Outer system, near the gas giant. 47, no, 63 distinct signatures. They're massive. James leaned over her shoulder. That's not the supply convoy. They're not due for 3 months. Elena's fingers flew across the interface, pulling up visual data. The ships that materialized on screen made her blood run cold. They were enormous, each one dwarfing Earth's largest carriers. Dark hulls covered in what looked like bone-white armor plating, bristling with weapon ports. And they were moving in perfect formation, heading directly toward New Shepard. Sound general alarm, Elena ordered. Get Ambassador Okonkwo up here. And wake up everyone in the defense militia. Captain, should I try hailing them? The communications officer asked. Do it. Open channel, all frequencies. The next 20 minutes passed in organized chaos. Colonial Defense had 3 patrol ships, glorified system cutters with light weapons meant for asteroid survey and search and rescue. Against what was approaching, they were children's toys. But Elena scrambled them anyway, positioning them in orbit as the colony's population flooded into designated shelters. Ambassador Kira Okonkwo arrived running, still fastening her jacket. Tell me those are friendly. We're about to find out, Elena said. We've been broadcasting greetings for 15 minutes. No response. Then, suddenly, the main screen filled with an alien face. It was reptilian but wrong, too many eyes arranged vertically, skin that shifted between gray and deep purple, a mouth that split horizontally and vertically forming an X shape. When it spoke, the translation software struggled before producing stilted but understandable English. Primitive settlement. I am Overseer Zekthar of the Hierarchy. Your world is now property of the Dominion. You will prepare all inhabitants for immediate integration processing. You have 6 standard units to comply. The channel cut. Silence filled the command center. 6 hours, James whispered. What does integration processing mean? Kira's face was grim. She'd been a UN negotiator before joining the colony. Nothing good. Can we fight? Elena looked at the tactical display. 63 warships versus 3 patrol cutters and a colony of civilians. The math was brutal. We can buy time. James, what do we know about these, the hierarchy? Nothing in our xenobiology database. They're not any of the 3 species we've made peaceful contact with. He was already pulling up his research station, fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. But if they call themselves the hierarchy and talk about integration processing, that sounds like conquerors, Kira finished. Strip away the diplomatic language, that's what this is. Conquest. Elena's jaw tightened. Get me the Colonial Council. Emergency session. We have 6 hours to decide our future. 4 hours later, Dr. Chen had answers. Terrible ones. I hacked into their communications, he explained to the hastily assembled council. Their encryption is sophisticated but follows logical patterns. They've been broadcasting status reports to their homeworld. And? Governor Martinez asked, face drawn. The hierarchy has conquered 217 species. Every single one surrendered within hours of first contact. James pulled up translated documents. They've perfected psychological warfare. Overwhelming force, immediate ultimatums, public execution of anyone who resists. Most species fold immediately. Have any fought back? Elena asked. Not successfully. The Delphari tried, they were a spacefaring species with a modest fleet. The hierarchy destroyed their home planet as an example. Killed 11 billion. The rest surrendered. Silence gripped the room. So our options are surrender or genocide, Council Member Roberts said quietly. No. Elena stood. Our option is to fight smart. We can't win against that fleet, but we can hurt them. More importantly, we can get a message out. Earth needs to know what's coming. The communication relay, Kira said suddenly. If we can boost the signal, punch a message through to the next relay station. It would take hours to reach Earth, but they'd know, James finished. They'd know we fought. Governor Martinez looked at Elena. You're talking about a delaying action. A sacrifice play. I'm talking about buying time to evacuate as many civilians as we can to the southern continent, Elena countered. Hide them in the wilderness areas we've barely surveyed. Then those of us who remain put up enough of a fight that the hierarchy is distracted. We send our message. We make sure humanity knows these things exist and that they're expanding toward Earth. And the 30,000 people we can't evacuate in time? Roberts demanded. We pray, Elena said simply. And we trust that Earth will come for them. That's what we do, we don't leave our people behind. The vote was 8-3 in favor of resistance. 2 hours before the deadline, Elena stood in the communications center with James, watching him configure the relay boost. It's going to fry every transmitter we have, he said. One shot, maximum compression. What do you want to say? Elena thought of her daughter, Sarah, back on Earth. A naval officer herself now, last letter had mentioned she'd made captain of her own frigate. Pride swelled in Elena's chest alongside grief. Would Sarah ever get this message? Make it clear, Elena said. First contact, hostile. Species calls itself the hierarchy. Conquest-based empire. New Shepherd making last stand. 38,000 civilians captured. Grid coordinates. Tell them. Her voice broke. Tell them we fought. And tell them we're counting on humanity to come for our people. James nodded, eyes bright with tears. It's ready. Just needs your authorization code. Wait until the shooting starts, Elena said. Maximum distraction. She'd already given the orders. Colonial defense would fake surrender, bring the hierarchy ships in close, thinking victory was easy. Then they'd hit them with everything they had. Mining charges repurposed as orbital mines. Civilian ships rigged as fire ships. The 3 patrol cutters loaded with fusion reactors set to overload on command. It wouldn't be enough. But it would be something. When the hierarchy fleet entered orbit, Elena stood in the command center and broadcast on all channels, "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of New Shepherd Colony. We accept your terms. Preparing for integration." She watched Overseer Zekthar's face on screen, saw the smug satisfaction there. That expression alone made what came next worthwhile. Now, Elena said quietly. The sky lit up with fire. The first mine took out a hierarchy destroyer, turning it into an expanding ball of plasma. The second and third damaged a cruiser. Then the patrol cutters crashed into capital ships at full thrust, fusion cores going critical. 3 more enemy ships died or were crippled. But there were still 58 functional warships, and now they were angry. The bombardment began within minutes. Precision strikes on power plants, water treatment, the spaceport. The hierarchy knew how to break a civilization without destroying the valuable infrastructure. They'd done it 217 times before. Elena felt the building shake with each impact. James. The message. Transmitting now, he shouted over the noise. Full power, all bandwidth. The east wall exploded inward. Elena was thrown across the room, ears ringing. Through the smoke, she saw armored figures entering, hierarchy soldiers, each one 3 meters tall, weapons humming with power. The last thing she saw before the stun blast hit her was James's scream, message transmitted, relay confirmed. Then darkness. Elena woke in a cage. Not a cell, a literal cage, 3 meters by 3 meters, force field walls humming with energy. She could see others in similar cages extending in rows, hundreds, maybe thousands of colonists, all staring in shock and fear. Overseer Zekthar's voice boomed through speakers, "You have learned the cost of defiance. 12 of my ships damaged. 317 of my soldiers killed. This is unprecedented. You are the first species to resist after seeing our power." Elena pulled herself to her feet, ignoring the pain in her ribs. Through the force field, she could see Zekthar standing on a platform, surveying his prisoners like a farmer inspecting livestock. "For this, there will be punishment," the overseer continued. "But first, you will learn your place. You are no longer free beings. You are property of the hierarchy. Resources to be allocated as we see fit. The strong among you will be conditioned as soldiers. The intelligent will serve in our research divisions. The rest will labor until they are no longer useful." A colonist in the next cage shouted, "You can't do this. Earth will come for us." Zekthar's vertical eyes focused on the speaker. "Earth. Yes, your primitive homeworld. It is 17 light-years distant, yes. By the time they receive your message and mount any response, if they are foolish enough to try, you will have been fully integrated. You will have forgotten you were ever human." But Elena saw something in the overseer's body language, a slight tension. He was worried about that message. Good. She caught the eye of Dr. Chen in a cage 3 rows over. He was alive. So was Ambassador Kira. Governor Martinez. Others. Out of 45,000 colonists, 38,000 had been captured. 7,000 had died in the bombardment or been in the evacuation zones and escaped to the wilderness. Elena pressed her hand against the force field, feeling it tingle against her skin. Around her, others were doing the same, colonists reaching out to each other, making contact even through the barriers that held them. The hierarchy had conquered 217 species. They'd taken prisoners, broken spirits, erased civilizations. But they'd never captured humans before. And they had just made the mistake of giving humanity time to resist, time to endure, time for the message to reach home. Elena caught James's eye and mouthed 2 words, "They'll come." He nodded, understanding. They just had to survive until Earth arrived. The hierarchy thought they'd won. They'd captured their prisoners, established dominance, proven their superiority. They didn't understand humanity's most fundamental truth: we never abandon our own. No matter how far. No matter how long. No matter the cost. Earth would come. The Armada's wrath. Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb stood in the war room beneath UN headquarters, staring at the holographic projection of New Shepard's final transmission. He'd watched it 47 times in the past 3 weeks, and it never got easier. Captain Elena Vasquez's voice was steady despite the explosions in the background. "First contact, hostile. Species calls itself the hierarchy. Conquest-based empire. New Shepard making last stand. 38,000 civilians captured. We fought. We're counting on humanity to come for our people. Then static. 3 weeks of travel time for the message to reach Earth. 3 weeks while 38,000 humans lived as prisoners of aliens who saw them as property. How many ships can we mobilize? Marcus asked the assembled military leaders. General Patricia Morrison of the Marine Corps spoke first. Every nation with orbital capability has offered forces. We can assemble 147 warships within 2 weeks. Another 73 within a month. 2 weeks is too long, someone objected. Those people are already prisoners, Marcus interrupted. Rushing in with inadequate force won't save them. It'll just get us killed and leave them with no hope at all. We do this right, or we don't do it at all. The Chinese Admiral Lei spoke up. The Security Council has not formally voted on military action. Some members argue for diplomatic approach. Diplomatic approach? Marcus's voice could have frozen helium. You want to negotiate with aliens who just enslaved 38,000 civilians? What exactly do we offer them? More colonies to conquer. The concern is escalation, Lei said calmly. We don't know the full extent of the hierarchy's forces. Elena's message said they've conquered over 200 species. What if we provoke them into attacking Earth? Marcus leaned forward on the table, forcing himself to speak calmly. They're already coming toward Earth. We're just next on their list. The question isn't if we fight, it's whether we fight for New Shepard now, or fight for Earth later after we've abandoned 38,000 people to slavery. The Russian representative, Admiral Volkov, nodded slowly. The Admiral is correct. This is not just rescue mission. This is showing the hierarchy that humanity is not species that breaks. If we abandon New Shepard, we tell them we are weak. They will come faster. Then we vote, Marcus said. Everyone in favor of immediate military response. The vote was 14-3. Humanity was going to war. The assembly of the fleet took 11 days. Ships came from every spacefaring nation. The American carrier Washington, the Chinese battlecruiser Long March, the European frigate fleet, Russian heavy cruisers, Indian destroyers, Japanese stealth ships. Even Brazil and South Africa contributed system defense corvettes, their crews volunteering despite the ships never being designed for deep space combat. Marcus walked the docking bay of the Washington, his flagship, watching the organized chaos of preparation. Marines loaded into drop ships. Engineers tested weapons systems. Supply officers managed the logistics of keeping 147 warships operational for the 6-week journey to New Shepard. Admiral Webb. He turned to find a young woman in a captain's uniform, her name tag reading Chen, S. Captain Chen, Marcus acknowledged. The frigate Determination, correct? Yes, sir. I wanted to request assignment to the front wave of the assault. There was something in her eyes, determination, yes, but also something personal. Marcus checked his tactical pad. Chen, any relation to Dr. James Chen at New Shepard? My father, sir. Her voice didn't waver, but Marcus saw her hands clench. I know protocol says I should request rear assignment to avoid emotional compromise. I'm requesting the opposite. My crew is ready. My ship is ready. And I promise you, sir, no one will fight harder to get our people back. Marcus studied her for a long moment. He'd served in combat for 32 years. He knew the look of someone who would die before retreating. Front wave, port flank, he said. But Captain Chen, personal stakes make for brave soldiers. They also make for reckless ones. I need you smart and alive, not heroic and dead. Understood? Understood, sir. She saluted. We'll bring them home. The journey to New Shepard took 41 days at maximum FTL. Marcus used the time to drill the fleet relentlessly. They practiced formations, communication protocols, damage control. He brought in every xenologist, military historian, and strategic analyst available to study the limited intelligence they had on the hierarchy. Dr. Amira Hassan, chief xenologist, delivered her briefing 3 weeks into the journey. The hierarchy operates on rigid hierarchical structure, hence the name. Every species they conquer is slotted into a specific role based on assessment of their traits. The pattern suggests they've never encountered significant military resistance. Their tactics are psychological, overwhelming show of force to induce immediate surrender. So they're bullies, General Morrison said. Big fleets, intimidation, but no real combat experience. Potentially. But don't underestimate them, they've conquered 217 species. They know how to occupy and control populations. What about their technology? Marcus asked. Superior to ours in raw power, their energy weapons have higher output, their shields are more robust. But our analysis of Elena Vasquez's sensor data shows something interesting. Their ships move in rigid formations. Their response to New Shepard's resistance was predictable, immediate overwhelming retaliation focused on infrastructure. They follow a playbook, Marcus said, understanding dawning. They have a system that works, so they've never had to innovate. Exactly. Every species that faced them just gave up. The few that tried to fight used conventional tactics. The hierarchy has never faced an opponent that thinks asymmetrically. General Morrison smiled. Then we're about to give them a very bad day. Humans wrote the book on asymmetric warfare. Marcus pulled up the tactical display. Here's what we're going to do. At New Shepard, Elena Vasquez marked her 49th day in captivity on the wall of her cage. The hierarchy had separated the prisoners into categories. The young and strong were being reconditioned, taken away for hours at a time, returning vacant-eyed and compliant. Scientists like James were interrogated about human technology. The elderly and infirm were assigned to labor details. But the hierarchy had underestimated human resilience. Elena had organized a subtle resistance. It started with small things, prisoners deliberately misunderstanding orders, working slowly, making minor mistakes that weren't quite sabotage but definitely not cooperation. She'd established a communication network using hand signals and whispered messages during the daily exercise periods, where they were allowed to leave their cages for 30 minutes. The information she'd gathered was valuable. The hierarchy had left only 30 ships in orbit. War Master Thulvan commanded the occupying force with arrogance that bordered on contempt. He'd sent the majority of the fleet onward to scout toward Earth, confident that New Shepard was secure. They think we're beaten, James whispered during one exercise period, moving beside Elena as they walked the prison yard's perimeter. Good, Elena replied. Let them think that. She'd noticed something else. The hierarchy soldiers were nervous. Small things, checking their weapons more frequently, jumping at unexpected noises. The guards had been present when New Shepard fought back. They'd lost comrades to humans who were supposed to be weak and primitive. Fear. The hierarchy soldiers were afraid of humans. That fear was a weapon. Elena just needed to figure out how to use it. That night, as she lay in her cage trying to sleep, alarms suddenly blared through the facility. Hierarchy soldiers rushed past, their translated comm chatter panicked. Unknown contacts. Outer system. Multiple FTL signatures. Elena's heart stopped. Then started racing. She caught James's eye from his cage. He'd heard it too. They came, James whispered, voice breaking. Dear God, they actually came. All around them, other prisoners were sitting up, listening, hoping. The whisper spread through the facility like wildfire. Earth is here. Marcus stood on the bridge of the Washington as the fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of New Shepard's system. All ships, battle formation, he ordered. Commence broadcast on all channels. The transmission he prepared played across every frequency. This is Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb of the United Earth Forces. We have come for our people. To the hierarchy forces currently occupying New Shepard, you have 72 hours to release all prisoners unharmed and withdraw from this system. Failure to comply will result in military action. Admiral Lay appeared on his screen. Admiral, we're detecting 30 hierarchy warships in orbit around New Shepard. Multiple ground installations. And sir, long-range sensors show the main hierarchy fleet is heading back toward us. 117 ships, estimated arrival in 48 hours. Marcus had expected that. Then we have 48 hours to rescue our people and prepare for the main fight. All ships, begin approach. Full combat speed. And start the psychological warfare protocol. The next transmission that went out was different. It was recordings, historical audio from human battles. Thermopylae. The Alamo. Stalingrad. Bastogne. A compilation of humanity's most desperate last stands, where humans refused to break even when defeat was certain. Then came the personal messages. Thousands of them, recorded by families and friends of the New Shepard colonists. Sarah, this is Mom. We're coming for you. James, you old bastard, hold on. We're almost there. To all of New Shepard, you are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. We are humanity, and we come for our own. Marcus watched the tactical display as the hierarchy ships scrambled to form defensive positions. But there was something in their movement patterns, hesitation, uncertainty. They'd never faced an enemy that came back. General Morrison appeared on his screen. Marines are ready for deployment. 12,000 troops, full combat load. Drop ships are standing by. Good. Captain Chen, your frigate squadron will punch a hole in their orbital defense. Once we have an opening, Morrison's Marines go in. Everyone else keeps those hierarchy ships busy. Understood, sir. Sarah Chen's voice was steady. For New Shepard. For humanity, Marcus replied. The fleet crossed the system in 72 hours that felt like years. Marcus spent every minute refining the battle plan, accounting for every variable he could think of. They were outnumbered. The hierarchy ships were more powerful. But humanity had one advantage: they were fighting for their own. As the fleet entered weapons range, a transmission came from the surface. War Master Thulvan appeared on screen, his alien features twisted in what might have been anger. Foolish creatures. You dare challenge the hierarchy? You will die for this defiance. Marcus allowed himself a cold smile. No, War Master. You made the mistake of taking our people. Now you learn what that costs. He cut the transmission and looked at his tactical officer. All ships, weapons free. Let's bring our people home. The first shots of the battle lit up the space around New Shepard like a new sun. We came for our own. The first phase of the battle was chaos wrapped in thunder. Captain Sarah Chen gripped her command chair as the determination shook with weapons fire. Her frigate squadron, 12 ships in tight formation, drove like a spear toward the hierarchy's orbital defense line. Shields at 60%, her tactical officer reported. They're focusing fire on us. Good, Sarah said. That's the point. All power to forward shields. Navigation, evasive pattern delta, keep us unpredictable. The hierarchy had 30 ships in perfect defensive formation. Beautiful, symmetrical, textbook fleet positioning. Which meant they were predictable. Weapons, target that cruiser's port engine cluster. Full spread, fire on my mark. Sarah watched the tactical display, waiting for the precise moment. Mark. The determination unleashed every torpedo it had. The hierarchy cruiser's shields flared, held for a moment, then collapsed as the coordinated fire from Sarah's squadron overwhelmed them. Explosions rippled across the alien ship's hull. Break formation, scatter pattern. Sarah ordered. Make them choose targets. The 12 frigates peeled away in different directions, forcing the hierarchy ships to split their fire. It was exactly what Admiral Webb needed, a gap in their defensive line. "This is Washington," Marcus Webb's voice came through. "Good work, frigate squadron. All assault ships, through that hole now. Morrison, your Marines are go for deployment." Sarah watched on her screens as the bulky assault carriers punched through the opening her squadron had created. Drop ships poured out like angry wasps, thousands of them, each carrying 40 Marines toward the surface. "Captain," her sensor officer shouted. "3 hierarchy destroyers breaking formation, coming at us." Sarah's lips tightened. 3 destroyers versus her damaged frigate. The math wasn't good. "All hands, brace for combat," she announced on ship-wide. Then, quietly to her tactical officer, "Transfer all reactor power to weapons. If we're going down, we're taking one of them with us." "Captain, that'll leave us with no shields." "I know what it means," Sarah interrupted. She thought of her father, somewhere in a prison below. "Do it." On the surface, Elena heard the sound of explosions overhead and felt the ground shake with impacts. "They're here," she whispered to the others. "Earth is here." The prison facility erupted in panic. Hierarchy guards rushed through corridors, weapons ready but movements jerky with fear. They'd heard the stories that humanity's fleet had been broadcasting for 3 days, tales of human stubbornness, of battles where humans refused to quit even when defeat was certain. And now those humans had brought an armada. "Everyone, get ready." Elena called out to the other cages. "When they open these force fields, we fight. Use anything you can grab as a weapon." James Chin appeared at the edge of his cage, his face bruised but his eyes bright with hope. "Elena. I've been watching their control system. The force field generator is in the north corner. If we could get to it." An explosion somewhere above cut him off. Dust rained from the ceiling. Then another explosion, closer this time. The drop ships were landing. Through the facility's windows, Elena saw streaks of fire descending from the sky. Hundreds of them, landing in a perimeter around the prison complex. The distinctive shape of human military dropships, ugly and brutal and beautiful. A hierarchy guard ran past her cage, clearly abandoning his post. Elena grabbed his attention. "You're losing. Your War Master underestimated us." The guard turned, his vertical eyes wide with something that looked remarkably like terror. Then he ran. "They're breaking," Thomas Wright, an elderly colonist in the next cage, said with wonder. "They're actually breaking. More explosions. Closer now." Then Elena heard the most wonderful sound in the world, human voices shouting in English, Spanish, Mandarin, a dozen languages. "Marines! Go go go! Secure the facility! Medic! Need a medic here!" Gunfire echoed through the corridors. Not energy weapons, projectile firearms. Humans fought with chemical propellant and metal bullets because those didn't need power cells and could be manufactured anywhere. Primitive by hierarchy standards. Absolutely devastating in close quarters. The doors to the prison block exploded inward. Through the smoke, Elena saw armored figures in gray and green, United Earth Marine Corps battle armor. The lieutenant leading them swept the room with her weapon, saw the caged colonists, and her voice was fierce with joy. "Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, 2nd Marine Division. We're here to get you out." Elena felt tears streaming down her face. The force field generator. North corner. One of the Marines moved with practiced efficiency, placing a charge. Clear. The explosion took out the generator. Every force field in the facility died simultaneously. Elena stumbled out of her cage for the first time in 53 days. Around her, thousands of colonists were doing the same, crying, laughing, hugging each other. "How many?" she asked Lieutenant Tanaka. "How many ships did Earth send?" Every one we could assemble, ma'am. 147 warships. 12,000 Marines. Admiral Webb sent a message for you specifically, we come for our own. My father. James Chen pushed through the crowd. Dr. James Chen, is there any word about a Sarah Chen? She's my daughter, she was naval. Captain Sarah Chen. Tanaka's expression shifted. Sir, you need to come with me. In orbit, the battle had become desperate. Sarah Chen's frigate Determination had no shields, minimal weapons, and was venting atmosphere from 7 hull breaches. But she'd taken down one hierarchy destroyer and crippled another. Now the 3rd destroyer was coming for the kill. Captain, we need to abandon ship, her executive officer pleaded. Life pods. Negative, Sarah said. If we abandon, that destroyer focuses fire on the assault carriers. Marines are still deploying. Navigation, give me ramming course. Ma'am, that's an order. All hands, this is the captain. Get to life pods. You have 60 seconds. Anyone who wants to stay, I'll need you at your stations. She expected her bridge crew to leave. They didn't. Guess we're staying, her tactical officer said quietly. Sarah's throat tightened. All right then. Let's make it count. Full thrust, reactor overload in 60 seconds. The Determination turned toward the hierarchy destroyer, accelerating to ramming speed. The destroyer fired everything it had, tearing the frigate apart, but momentum and mass were laws of physics that applied everywhere. The 2 ships collided at a relative velocity of 15 kilometers per second. The resulting explosion took out both vessels and showered the battlefield with debris. In the prison facility, James Chen stood in the medical bay, looking at the body of his daughter. They'd recovered her from a life pod. She'd stayed at her station until the last possible second, ensuring her ramming attack succeeded, then ejected with seconds to spare. The pod had been caught in the explosion's shockwave. She'd almost made it. James touched Sarah's hand, cold now. His brilliant daughter who'd grown up on New Shepard, then returned to Earth to serve in the Navy. Who'd volunteered for the rescue mission knowing her father was in the prison below. Sir, a Marine said quietly. Admiral Webb is on the surface. He's asking for you. James looked up. I need to. Sir, with respect, your daughter helped save 3,000 Marines in those assault carriers. Her sacrifice mattered. The Admiral needs to know what you've learned about the hierarchy. That matters too. You can grieve after. It was harsh but true. James straightened, wiped his eyes, and nodded. Take me to Webb. Admiral Marcus Webb stood in the improvised command post at the prison facility, surrounded by holographic displays showing the ongoing battle. General Morrison's Marines had secured the ground facilities. All 38,000 prisoners were free or being evacuated. But in orbit, the main hierarchy fleet had arrived. 117 ships versus humanity's 147. And the humans had already lost 31 ships, including Sarah Chen's Determination. Admiral, Dr. James Chen entered, escorted by Marines. His face was haggard but his voice was steady. I have intelligence on the hierarchy's command structure. Tell me fast, Doctor. We have maybe an hour before they overwhelm us. Their entire military operates on strict hierarchical control. Every ship's captain answers to a war master. Every war master answers to an overseer. Everyone answers ultimately to Elder Sovereign Croth. James pulled up data on a pad. I hacked their systems during captivity. Their ships can't make independent decisions. If you cut off their command chain, they're paralyzed. Marcus understood immediately. So if we take out this War Master Thulvan, the 30 ships here freeze. And if we could somehow threaten their Elder Sovereign, the entire fleet might hesitate. Can we reach him? Open a channel. I have his communication codes. But Admiral. James's voice cracked slightly. My daughter died buying time for this. Make it count. Marcus gripped James's shoulder. We will. I promise. Minutes later, a holographic image materialized in the command center. Elder Sovereign Croth appeared, the most alien being Marcus had ever seen. Massive, covered in what looked like armor plate, with 12 eyes and a presence that radiated authority. Who dares? Croth began. I'm Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb, and I dare, Marcus interrupted. Here's the situation, Elder Sovereign. Your War Master is dead. We killed him 12 minutes ago. Your ground forces have surrendered. All 38,000 of our people are free. Your ships in orbit are ours to destroy whenever we choose. Crotha's eyes blazed. You have won nothing. I have 117 ships arriving now. You will be crushed. Your species will. Will fight, Marcus interrupted again. That's what you don't understand. You've conquered 217 species, but you've never faced one that fights back. You want to destroy my fleet? You can. But I promise you, Elder Sovereign, we will make you bleed for every inch. And more fleets are coming. Earth has mobilized everything. If you fight us here, you win, but it's going to cost you 50, 60 ships. Maybe more. Threats mean nothing to. Not threats. Truth. Marcus leaned forward. But I'm offering you something else. You withdraw your fleet. You leave New Shepard and never return. You leave humanity alone. In exchange, I won't broadcast across every species in your empire exactly how we broke your perfect conquest record. I won't tell them that humans fought back and won. I won't give them hope. Croth was silent for a long moment. You would, negotiate, the Elder Sovereign finally said. Your species values these few thousand beings over vengeance. We value all our people, Marcus said. That's what you've never understood. But make no mistake, if you fight, we fight. And we don't stop fighting until we've won or we're dead. The choice is yours. The silence stretched for 30 seconds that felt like hours. Then Croth spoke, You are, unusual. The hierarchy has never encountered a species like yours. Perhaps humanity requires further study before integration. That's a no, by the way, Marcus said. We're not interested in your integration. Leave us alone, or learn what it means to fight a war where your enemy never surrenders. Another long pause. Then, very well. War Master Thulvan's fleet will withdraw. This system is, yours. For now. But humanity will be watched. The hologram cut out. Marcus let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Then he turned to his staff, Did we get all the prisoners? Yes, sir. Last transport just left surface. All 38,000 confirmed evacuated. Then signal the fleet. We're leaving. Now. Before he changes his mind. 3 days later, the combined fleet hung in space halfway between New Shepard and Earth. Admiral Webb stood in the main hangar of the Washington, watching Marines load the last of the New Shepard colonists onto transports. Captain Elena Vasquez was there, coordinating with her people, refusing to rest despite the doctor's orders. Captain Vasquez, Marcus approached her. A moment. Elena turned, saw the grief in his eyes, and knew. Sarah Chen. She saved 3,000 Marines with her sacrifice. Your message reached Earth. Her ship reached you. I'm sorry we couldn't save everyone. You saved 38,000 people, Elena said, voice thick with emotion. You brought an armada 15 light-years because we asked for help. You spent how many ships? Lost how many soldiers? 31 ships. 2,314 killed in action. Marcus's voice was heavy. Including some of the bravest people I've ever commanded. They came for us, Elena said. Humans they'd never met, in a colony most had never heard of. They came because we're human and we needed help. That's what we do, Marcus said simply. Dr. James Chin approached, carrying a small box. His face was composed now, though his eyes were still red. Admiral, Captain Vasquez, he said. I wanted to thank you both. My daughter. Sarah, she knew what she was doing. She chose to buy time for the Marines. That was her choice, and I'm proud of her for it. She was a hero, Marcus said. She was my daughter, James replied. But I know what this means for humanity. The hierarchy thinks they've retreated temporarily. But they're wrong. They showed weakness. And every species they've conquered is going to hear about it. Elena smiled grimly. Good. Let them hear. Let them know humans don't break. 6 months later, the communications array on Earth received its first transmission from a species called the Vralathai. We heard what you did at New Shepard, the message said. You fought the hierarchy. You won. Can you teach us how to resist? Then came another message, from the Keltian. Then the proxy. Then 14 more species, all of them enslaved by the hierarchy, all of them asking the same thing. Teach us to fight back. In UN headquarters, Marcus Webb stood with a new commission, director of the Alliance for Free Species. His mission, organize resistance against the hierarchy across 200 worlds. It's going to take years, he told the Security Council. Maybe decades. The hierarchy is vast. But New Shepard proved it's possible, Ambassador Kira Okonkwo said. She'd returned to Earth to help coordinate the diplomatic effort. We showed the galaxy that the hierarchy can be beaten. More than that, Elena Vasquez added. She'd taken command of New Shepard's rebuilt colonial defense, but visited Earth regularly to train other species in human military tactics. We showed them what it means to fight for your own. To never leave anyone behind. That's the lesson we're teaching. Marcus looked at the star map, at the highlighted systems where oppressed species were beginning to whisper about resistance. The hierarchy's empire was vast, but it had a fatal flaw, it was built on fear and domination. Humanity had just shown the galaxy that there was another way. All right, Marcus said. Let's teach them. Let's show every enslaved species what freedom looks like. And let's show the hierarchy what it costs to threaten humanity. On the wall behind him, a memorial listed the names of those lost at New Shepard. 2,314 humans who'd gone 15 light-years to rescue people they'd never met. At the top of the list, Captain Sarah Chen, UEF Determination. She'd asked to be on the front line. She'd fought for her father and for 38,000 strangers. And her sacrifice had lit a fire across the galaxy. Because that's what humanity did. We came for our own. No matter the cost. No matter the distance. Always.